Hello, I'm Tom Lodziak. In this video, we're going to look at how to beat a blocker. Now, playing a very good blocker is like playing against a brick wall. Everything comes back. You topspin this way and that way, but the balls keep being returned. By the end of the match, you're knackered. But the blocker doesn't even look like they've had a workout. Now, how can we beat these sorts of players? It's not easy, but with a few decent tactics, you should be able to find there's a way to get your attacks past these players. So, if you want to know how to beat a blocker, then keep watching. The first tactic, and a very obvious tactic to start with, is that you need to vary the placement of your attacks. That means being able to attack with your forehand, both cross court and also down the line. Same thing with the backhand. Being able to attack with your backhand cross court and also down the line. Now, this makes the blocker's task a little bit more difficult. If your attacks always go to the same position, it's quite easy for the blocker to get into a rhythm. They can anticipate what you're doing. Before you've even hit your shot, they're already moving into position, and then they seem to have oodles of time to block the ball back. But if you start varying the placement a little bit more, start being a bit more unpredictable, then the blocker's got to work much harder. They're going to need to cover this corner to be able to block with the backhand. They're going to need to cover this corner to block with their forehand. So you're making them move more, you're being more unpredictable. In particular, I found that blockers perhaps find it a little harder to defend against, to block against attacks which come straight down the line. I think it's a little bit easier to block balls which come cross court. So if you can attack down the line, you may find that the blocker starts reaching and stretching for the balls a little bit more. So the attacks down the line, they can be very effective. The next tactic you can try is attacking with speed the blocker's crossover position. This is their playing hip, playing elbow, this area here. And why this is effective is that when you attack this area here, the blocker has to make a decision about whether to block with the backhand or to block with the forehand. And the speed of the attack is the important bit. If you try to attack the crossover, but your attack is a little bit slow, then it's much easier for the blocker to move into position either this way or that way to block the ball. However, if you attack with speed, then it becomes much harder for the blocker to be able to move one way or the other to block the ball. And what you'll often find is the blocker either doing something like this or doing something like this, and then they will make a mistake. So attack the crossover position, but do so with speed. The final tactic we're going to look at is varying the speed and the spin of your attacks. Now, if your attacks are always of the same tempo and the same amount of spin, then it's a bit easier for the blocker to sort of get into a rhythm because they're blocking in the same way all of the time, okay? But if you vary how much speed and how much spin you put into the attacks, then the blocker has to work much harder. They have to adjust their bat angle to the different types of attacks you're giving them. So if you're giving them a very spinny attack, then they're going to need to close their bat angle to block that. If you flatten out the attack a little bit more, then they're going to need to open up the bat angle a bit more. If you were to do a slow, spinny attack, then the blocker once again needs to adjust the bat angle to get over the ball more, but they also need to adjust the timing of the block. So when you're varying how you attack, varying how much spin you put on the ball, varying the speed at which you attack, then you're forcing the blocker to have to react to that, to keep changing their bat angle, their timing and their stroke length. So you're working the blocker much harder. These tactics, they will work, but still not easy. You need to have a very consistent and varied attacking game with very good ball placement to be able to get past these sort of blocking players. Okay, so you may need lots and lots of practice. You may need to add new shots into your game. For example, let's say you always attack your forehand cross court. Well, developing a good forehand down the line is going to give you that extra option to get past this sort of player. If you always play your forehand topspins at one pace, developing perhaps a slightly slower one or an even faster one, again, that's going to give you extra options to get past this blocking player. So it's difficult, but entirely possible. And once your attacking game gets to a certain level, once you can play these different attacking shots, then in general, a very good attacker is going to be a very good blocker far more often. So that's where you're headed, but it takes plenty of practice. Thank you very much for watching. I hope these tips to beat a blocker help you out. Give it a go. Leave me some comments when you've tried it out. Let me know how you've got on. I'll have more videos coming soon, so if you haven't subscribed to my YouTube channel already, then please do so, and I will see you soon. Bye bye.